I've always been in love with New York City. The energy, the culture, the architecture, my people, and the memories we've made there. I had always wanted to live in New York, and for most of my adult life, I have. And I've been happy. Or so I thought. Ladies, you know how it is. You think you're happy in your current relationship until one day, out of the blue, you meet him. 3 years ago, I went on vacation and I met someone new. His name was West Virginia. He was like nothing I'd ever seen before. Wild, charming, rugged. It's like giving up a Model S Tesla for a rebuilt F-100. I was intrigued. Dare I say smitten? One thing for sure, I knew I wanted to know more. So this trip, I was excited and I was ready. I wanted to learn more about this guy, West Virginia. First of all, driving through the state looks like the opening sequence of any Jurassic Park movie. Lush and wild. They don't call it the Mountain State for nothing. And that John Denver song I'm sure you've heard about country roads and going home, Almost Heaven, is absolutely right. I discovered this quiet guy, West Virginia, has layers, depths that most of us don't know about and don't appreciate. Like me, most of what the average person has heard about West Virginia isn't great. I had my eyes peeled for Confederate flags and used needles. And I have to be honest, I saw some flags and some funky looking crosses. There are real problems. West Virginia has had the nation's highest rate of drug overdose deaths for several years in a row. But I also found out it has kind, friendly, funny people and a natural beauty unlike anything I'd ever seen. I learned about some of the historical layers of West Virginia at our nation's newest national park, New River Gorge. That evening, I saw a production of Honey in the Rock, put on by Theater West Virginia. They've been performing the musical since 1961. Okay, it wasn't quite a Broadway production, but it was enthusiastic and a heartfelt show. Don't get this confused with the music group or the Bible verse. Honey in the Rock is the part fiction, part factual origin story of West Virginia. And West Virginia's story is a huge part of the American story. As you can probably tell from the name, West Virginia and Virginia used to be one state. Financial, moral, and cultural differences at the start of the Civil War between the wealthy plantation and slave owners in the East and the independent Scots-Irish immigrants living in the mountains caused West Virginia to declare independence and loyalty to the Union.
Despise the sight of all uniforms.
This war will end soon. We must wish instead for peace.
Peace, Mr. Morgan. There will be peace when my father, my brother, and Rex walk this earth again. There will be peace when the practice of land grabbing northerners is put to an end. There will be peace when every proud young man who marched off to defend his home comes back from the grave to tend his land and love his family. Only then, Colonel Morgan, you will have your damn peace. Every loyal Southerner knows his duty.
Somewhat ironically, I was sitting next to a lovely elderly white gentleman and his beautiful biracial granddaughter. When he found out I was visiting from up north, as they say, which was pretty much as soon as I opened my mouth. He let me know that, yes, West Virginia has its problems, but there's a lot of good to see as well. Like I said, layers. And I was definitely interested in seeing more of them. Everything meets in Harpers Ferry. The Shenandoah and Potomac Rivers, the states of Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia. If you're hiking the Appalachian Trail, you've been to Harpers Ferry, or at least through it. If you're interested in American history, you've heard of Harpers Ferry. This is where in 1859, abolitionist John Brown took control of an armory and tried to start a slave rebellion. In reality, he helped light the fire that led to the explosion that was the American Civil War. In 2021, Harpers Ferry is a surprisingly liberal, hip town with lots of vegetarian food options and signs that I never expected to see anywhere in West Virginia. One of the primary layers of West Virginia is its relationship with and dependence on the coal industry. 99% of generated electricity in West Virginia comes from coal. For reference, that number is 50% in the rest of the country. As the world is currently, sometimes literally, on fire, we all know we need to end our dependence on fossil fuels in general and on coal in particular. But what my visit to the Beckley coal mine exhibit reminded me, and should remind all of us, there are people involved. Hardworking, incredibly brave men and women who went from doing an unbelievably dangerous but necessary job to being told that they're no longer needed. As a matter of fact, that they're doing something wrong. The guide on my tour, Eddie, a former coal miner, can tell you better than I can.
Death will occur. With methane, it's a gas, lighter than air. It rises to the top and works its way to the bottom. At 5% methane, you add gas, you have a spark, you now have a violent explosion. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this man right here, the fire boss, he'll come through with his little old light along with seeing, and he'll watch this flame. If it gets weak, flickers, tries to go out, he knows he has an O2 deficit. He needs to go back and get fresh air up into where he's at. The next thing he's going to do, he's going to come through that little open flame light, and he's going to reach up and he's going to burn little pockets of methane off, if he's lucky. If there happens to be more methane there than he anticipated, there should be a loud boom, because he just added the flame to it. And this is what it's going to look like. There'll be nobody there to hold the light for you, and the boss will not be around just when he thinks your light's going to go out.
Yeah, West Virginia may be an old pickup truck, but that truck's got a rebuilt 700 horsepower Hemi engine. It's been getting the job done since 1863, and although it has some glitches, it's still getting it done. Next time you're thinking about a vacation, come check him out. You might fall in love, just like I did. See you next week.